Man, y'all hear the latest? Jake Paul was all set to face off against the legendary Mike Tyson, but then Joe Rogan stepped in and forced him to pull the plug on the whole thing. And now Jake's going off on everybody, even questioning Tyson's legacy. Y'all believe that? Was his fight really too dangerous, or did Jake just get cold feet and step out? Now, Paul's rise in the boxing world has been nothing short of a roller coaster ride. I mean, who would have thought that a YouTuber known for his crazy screen antics and viral views would ever be taken seriously in the ring? But here we are, and it's hard to deny the guy's made a name for himself. I mean, sure, his career's been surrounded by controversy. People have been quick to dismiss him as just another internet celebrity looking for attention. But when you look at his record, it's pretty clear that Jake isn't just playing around. The dude's gone toe-to-toe with seasoned fighters and come out on top, which ain't no small feat, until you consider the fact that they all geriatric mud ducks. Alright, y'all remember that fight with Ben Askren? Now, a lot of people were skeptical, thinking Jake was biting off more than he could chew, but then he knocked Askren out in the first round, and suddenly, everybody had to start taking him a little bit more seriously. Now, the same thing happened with Tyron Woodley, a former UFC champion. Now, Jake didn't just beat him once, but twice, and the second time with a brutal knockout that left no room for doubt. I mean, the kid's got an okay punch. It's like he's tried to make it his mission to prove every critic wrong, and for the most part, he's been trying to do that. Now, on the other side of the ring, we got Mike Tyson. Now, just saying this dude's name sends shivers down the spine of anybody who knows anything about boxing. I mean, that dude's been whooping my butt since Nintendo. Now, this dude's legacy is untouchable. He was the youngest heavyweight champion in history, and his knockout power is still the stuff of legend. But let's be real, man, the dude is 58 years old. Now, most fighters his age is long retired, enjoying their glory days from the sidelines. And yet, here we got Iron Mike, who still believes he's got what it takes to step into the ring with a much younger, more agile fighter like Jake Paul. Now, when the fight between Jake and Tyson was announced, it was like the boxing world collectively lost its mind. The idea of these two squaring off was as thrilling as it was controversial. On one hand, y'all got Jake Paul, the brash newcomer with everything to prove. And on the other, Mike friggin' Tyson, the living legend who many believe should stay retired to protect his legacy. That announcement sparked a frenzy. Fans was divided, with some eagerly anticipating what could be the fight of the century, while others cringed at the thought of a 58-year-old Tyson getting back in the ring. When Joe Rogan talks, people listen, especially when it comes to combat sports. Now, Rogan's been around the fight game for decades, and he knows his stuff better than just about anybody. So when he started voicing concerns about Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson, it's like a wake-up call for the entire boxing community. Rogan wasn't just worried about the fight, he was worried about Tyson's age and the potential risks involved. I mean, we're talking about a 58-year-old man who's taken more punches in his lifetime than most of us can even imagine. The dude has eaten more fists to the face than I've eaten cheeseburgers, y'all, and that says a lot. Now, Rogan made it clear that putting Tyson back in the ring against a much younger, hungrier fighter like Jake could be dangerous, both for Tyson's health and for his legacy. Now, Rogan ain't just some random commentator, right? His words carry a lot of weight with people, and he's respected in the fight world not just for his knowledge, but for his passion for the sport. So when this dude talks, people have a tendency to shift public perception a little bit, and that's exactly what happened here. See, people started rethinking the whole idea of Tyson stepping into the ring again. Now, the excitement that had built up around the fight started to wane, replaced by a sense of unease. Was it really worth it to see Tyson potentially get hurt just for the spectacle of it all? Now, Rogan's concerns struck a chord, and it wasn't long before even Jake Paul and his team began to have some doubts. Now, the turning point came when Rogan's words seemed to hit home with Jake. Up until that point, Jake had been all in on the fight, brushing off any concerns as just noise. But Rogan's arguments was hard to ignore. The idea of being the guy who might seriously injure a legend like Tyson started to weigh on Jake. Now, y'all could almost see the doubt creeping in during interviews. What if Rogan was right? What if this wasn't just another fight, but a potential disaster waiting to happen? Now, the pressure was mounting, and it became clear that Rogan's voice of reason was starting to resonate with some people. Now, at first, Jake Paul did what he does best. He shrugged off the concerns and just kept pushing forward. In typical Jake Paul fashion, The dude was confident, even cocky about his chances against Tyson. Now he talked a big game, saying he wasn't afraid of anybody, not even a legend like Iron Mike. For this dude, this fight was another chance to prove himself, to show the world that he wasn't just some snot-nosed YouTuber trying to make a name in boxing, that he was serious about this, and that he wasn't going to let anybody, not even Joe Rogan, tell him otherwise. But as Rogan's concerns started gaining traction, the tension between Paul and Rogan started to heat up. Now Jake wasn't about to back down. If anything, he doubled down on his bravado, insisting that he could take Tyson no matter what anybody said. The dude even started to throw shade at Rogan, suggesting that Rogan was underestimating him, that he didn't understand how ready he was for this fight. Now it was classic Jake Paul, all bluster, fluster, and bravado, but y'all could tell that something was starting to shift beneath the surface a little bit. Now behind the scenes, though things was getting complicated, Jake's team began to have some serious discussions about the fight. Was it really worth the risk? Was it possible that Rogan was right, that Tyson's age and history of brutal fights made this more dangerous than they'd initially thought? Now the more they talked, the more it seemed like Rogan's concerns weren't just noise, that they was legitimate. In the end, these doubts became way too big to ignore, and Jake made the tough decision to cancel the fight. When the news broke that Jake had decided to cancel the fight with Mike Tyson, the fallout was immediate and intense. Now this dude didn't just quietly step back, he went wild. In typical Jake Paul fashion, he took to social media and unleashed a tirade against his critics. It wasn't just the usual bravado neither. Jake seemed genuinely angry. He lashed out at everybody who questioned his decision, accusing them of not understanding the pressure and the risks involved. But what really caught everybody's attention was when he started taking shots at Tyson's legacy. Jake questioned whether a 58-year-old Tyson should even be considered a legitimate opponent in the first place. He suggested that maybe Tyson was more of a gimmick than a real challenge, which, as y'all can imagine, did not sit well with a ton of people. Mike Tyson's reaction, on the other hand, was a bit more subdued, at least on the surface. Now, Tyson's been around long enough to know that boxing is as much about what happens outside the ring as it is about what happens inside it. When the fight got called off, there was a mix of emotions. On one hand, y'all could sense a bit of relief. Tyson ain't no stranger to the dangers of the sport, and maybe deep down, he knew that stepping into the ring at his age against a much younger and faster opponent probably wasn't the best idea. But there was also some disappointment there too. Tyson had been training hard, getting himself into the best shape possible, and he was ready to prove that he still had what it takes. The cancellation must have stung, but if Tyson was feeling any frustration, he didn't let it show too much. Instead, he hinted that he might be open to other opportunities, suggesting that this wasn't the end of his comeback journey. Now, as for the fans and other fighters, the reaction was all over the place. Now, some people completely backed Jake's decision, saying it was the right move to protect both fighters, especially Tyson, from unnecessary risk. So what are your thoughts on all of this? Make sure y'all let me know in the comments section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next episode.